Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us for our latest installment of the winter webinars for VECAN. My name is Dan Fingus, and I'm the Climate Action Coordinator for Vermont Natural Resources Council. This is the WindowDressers webinar. We are happy to have this webinar as part of our series that provides education, tools, and support to local energy leaders. I hope you can join us at future webinars, including how to develop a thermal energy network on March 13th, and a recently added tools you can use tracking Vermont's energy transition at the local level webinar that we're doing with Energy Action Network on March 15th. I'll drop registration links to both those webinars in the chat. Today's webinar, we are lucky to have WindowDressers with us to talk about their program and the really successful results they've been seeing in Vermont. I'll turn it over now to Allison Pouliot, Programs Manager for Vermont and Western New Hampshire. Welcome, Allison.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. I wanted to take a quick moment. I just want to check. I have some of my my coworkers are joining, and I just want to make sure I can acknowledge them. So first, I want to. If you guys can just wave when I recognize you. Sophia Reali is our program assistant, so she's calling in from Maine. Welcome, Sophia. And then I believe we also have our executive director, Jessica Williams, who's also joining us from Maine. I think Jessica's here. If you can just wave, please do. But thanks to you guys for your support. Appreciate it. So I'll get started here. And I also want to thank Dan and VECAN for for letting us giving us the time to talk about WindowDressers. And you'll be hearing from some of our other local coordinators later on in the presentation. So welcome. As we go through this, if people have questions, please either raise your hand or put them in the chat, and we can go from there. All right. So what is WindowDressers? So we're a Maine-based nonprofit. We provide low-cost insulating window inserts. We're a volunteer-driven organization, and we facilitate community builds that are run by local volunteer teams. Our WindowDresser staff, which consists of our executive director, program manager from Vermont and from Maine, a program assistant, and then our production manager, Joey Patterson. So there's 5 of us. And we support the teams. We do training. We provide supplies for the local teams. Our inserts are available to everyone. We keep our prices low due to volunteer participation. And we serve communities where community build teams form and agree to lead a community build. Our mission is quite simple. It's here in front of you, but I'll read it. We bring community volunteers of all economic and social situations together to improve the warmth and comfort of interior spaces, lower heating costs, and reduce carbon dioxide pollution by producing low-cost insulating window inserts that function as custom interior mounted storm windows. So it's quite simple. And a little bit about our origin story. So, how did WindowDressers come about? So WindowDressers was born in 2010 in Rockland, Maine, when a couple of parishioners at the UU Church decided to deal with heat loss through their leaky aluminum-clad windows by building inserts. The inserts were custom made to fit the church windows. And when parishioners realized how much warmer it was to sit near the windows, they asked if they could have inserts made for their homes. Dick Cadogan and a friend who were part of that church measured and made 185 inserts that winter in their in a basement workshop. Word spread, and the next year they took orders for 1,231 inserts. And again, those were built in a very small area. The team then put together a community build in Islesboro, Maine, and it was really like an old-fashioned barn raising event. In 2012, the group named themselves WindowDressers and created a board of directors. At the same time that year, they purchased a computer-assisted saw and labeling machine and built 2,200 inserts at 6 community builds throughout Maine. And each year after that, the effort or the volunteer effort grew. In 2018, Dick Cadogan was visiting his daughter in Montpelier, Vermont, and met with people from Efficiency Vermont and Capstone, and talked about window dressers. He then also met with a group in the Northeast Kingdom called Energize Vermont. At that meeting, Judith Jackson from Irisburg she was given several window dresser samples that she then brought to an energy committee meeting in Glover. The group in Glover was interested in taking on a project that they could bring to their community. And Jack Sumberg, who was the chair of the Glover Energy Committee, took a trip to Rockland, Maine, where at that time the window dressers operation was set up. And he went there to see the process in action. He was quite impressed, and when he returned to Vermont, he applied for a grant from Energize Vermont to get started. And the Glover Energy Committee used that money to send out a mailing to people with Glover zip codes to get the word out about 3 energy-related initiatives. One of them was window dressers, and the window dressers idea really got a lot of interest. At that year, that was how window dressers was born in Vermont. The Glover team transported gear and supplies to and from Maine and built 164 inserts that first season. After the success in Glover, Jack presented the window dressers idea at a VECAN conference. And at that same time, window dressers staff tabled at that conference to provide more information. There was a lot of interest. In 2019, 7 communities held community builds. Those included Glover, Craftsbury, Greensboro, Thetford, Stratford, Montpelier, Charlotte, and Bristol. In 2020, sadly, the season was canceled because of COVID. But then the program rebounded and continues to grow. It has continued to grow in Vermont since then. In 2021, there were 16 teams that held community builds, building 6,186 inserts. At that same time in 2021, the production facility moved to its current location in Searsmont, Maine. Then in 2022, there were 22 Vermont builds, and 9,256 inserts were built. And then this past year, there were 21 community builds here in Vermont, and overall, Maine, Vermont, and New Hampshire, we built for the first time over 10,000 inserts. So it's been quite a story, in the last 13 years, there's been a lot of progress made. Moving forward, we continue to work to grow in areas where we don't have a lot of community build activity. Some of the areas in Vermont that we see have a particular need are additional groups in Chittenden County, Addison County, and Rutland County. So you might ask yourself, what is actually a community build? So a community build is an annual recurring 5 to 7 day event that's held in the fall. It's typically held in a donated space, and it's really a fun social activity that is put together for a specific purpose. Teams build 200 to 250 inserts for their community, and we bring together a diverse group of people who may not otherwise know each other. We also provide up to 10 inserts for free or for whatever people can afford for those folks who are having financial difficulties. The community build typically consists of 2 4-hour shifts each day, typically in the morning and the afternoon. And there's approximately 12 volunteers for each shift. And one of the big components of our event is that we like to provide a community meal that's shared by the group there, because we think that helps to build community. Sometimes teams will choose to add an evening shift to expand accessibility for people who work, and we also typically have shifts on the weekend. The build consists of 8 steps, which are easy to perform and require no special skills. And we use jigs and gear which were creatively invented to help make a high quality and consistent product. These pictures just show, people building the inserts. We really feel that the community builds help us all to build community, which is really important in our vision. one of the really important aspects of the program is that volunteers run the show. The volunteers in each community conduct outreach to recruit customers and volunteers. They measure windows and collect payments. They schedule participants and other volunteers for build shifts. They supervise volunteers at the community build. They arrange for customer insert pickup or delivery. And then they help move tools, jigs, and materials onto the next build in the cascade. And they also follow up with customers after the build. One of the big aspects and the way that we're able to keep our prices low is that customers do participate in making the inserts. And as I mentioned before, there's no special skills required. All jobs are taught on the site, and there's many different jobs available for all sorts of different skill and mobility levels. We've had people come to a community build that have to sit, so we can find jobs for people who have to sit. We've actually had people come to builds with oxygen tanks, so there's something for everyone. I mentioned that we do provide a low cost option. Window dresser inserts, on average, an average size, a 30 by 52 insert, costs about $50. Each insert is custom made, so the exact price is based upon the exact dimensions, but $50 is an average size insert. As I mentioned, customer participation helps us to keep our costs low. Each insert we estimate saves about 8.5 gallons of fuel oil, and they typically pay for themselves in 1 to 2 heating seasons. And just as a comparison, there's a commercial version called Indo windows out there, and those cost an average of $372 per insert. So if you compare that to our price of $50, we are actually a low cost option. And then we probably all know what replacement windows cost. Those are even much more expensive. So one of the big aspects of our program is that we strive to reach low income households as well as people who can pay. And 25 to 35% of the inserts go to low income homes every year. And as I mentioned earlier, those people can receive up to 10 inserts for free, or for whatever they can afford to pay every year. So if they have a big house and they have 30 inserts, they could get 10 inserts for free each year for 3 years to fully cover their home. We believe that this helps to make energy efficiency accessible to all. And these inserts are funded by a mix of locally secured grants and window dresser grants and donations. So this map serves to show just kind of the map of Vermont with the locations of community builds. The green dots are the existing community builds, and then the orange are locations that we're working to develop in the coming year. And this in Vermont last year, as I mentioned, we held 22 community builds. We built 4,648 inserts in Vermont, and touching 684 households. And 38% of the inserts that we built were provided, as special rate inserts to lower income folks. So we feel like we have a pretty big impact. As you can see, I mentioned earlier that kind of look over here at the western part of the state, Addison County, Rutland County is kind of not really touched. So that's an area that we're really trying to focus on and get some traction. We have a lot of coverage in the Northeast Kingdom, in the Upper Valley, and down in southern Vermont. So we're pretty psyched about the coverage that we do have, but we're always looking to expand. This chart I realize is kind of an eye chart, but what I want to draw your attention to is the bottom line, which is highlighted. And this shows a cumulative impact of window dressers overall. So this is for Maine, Vermont, and New Hampshire. But so as of the conclusion of our 2023 build season, we had built 10,035 inserts. that's what we built this year. We have built over in the whole program, cumulatively, we've built over 68,000 inserts. We estimate that we saved 82,670 MMBTUs of energy this year. Overall, gallons of heating oil saved this year, 596,075 gallons of fuel oil saved. Tons of carbon dioxide saved, 6,664. And then we have a cumulative MMBTU energy saved, a cumulative heating oil saved throughout the whole program, and then cumulative carbon dioxide saved. And then at the bottom line, really, we estimate that we have saved over $1,990,000 worth of dollars of fuel oil over the course of our program. And this data is really based on estimated on a medium-sized insert, which would be 11 square feet. We use Bangor, Maine, which is the location, the temperature heating degree days in Bangor are very similar to Montpelier, so it makes sense to just use that as an estimate. A standard oil-fired furnace, average single and double pane existing windows, and then a $3.34 per gallon oil price. So that's really what that's based upon. And we have all this data. We're happy to share it with anybody who has questions or who would like to look further at it. So I'd like to stop talking for a moment, and I'd like to introduce a couple people that are here to help me out today. First, I want to introduce Amy Gamble. Amy is a member of the Montpelier Energy Advisory Committee, and she's a co-coordinator of the Montpelier WindowDressers Community Build. And I'd like to invite Amy to talk a little bit about her experience with WindowDressers in the Montpelier Community Build. Thanks for joining us today, Amy.
Hi. I just wanted to say that for anybody who's interested in having a community build and is daunted by the amount of work involved in being a coordinator, that it is a lot of work. I'm not gonna say it's not, but it gets easier each year you do it, and it's addictive. Being at a community build and seeing the tangible outcome of putting together 250 inserts and having 35 households go home and send you a note back saying, hey, they're great. This is awesome. Can I get more next year? This has been fantastic for us. We've done it. My coworker Donald and I have been doing it for 4 years now. And so we've built several hundred inserts. And when I walk through my neighborhood, I can see inserts in people's windows, and it just makes me feel great about it. So one of the things that we're doing in Central Vermont is we moved our build from the Berlin Mall to the Barry Auditorium, which is an awesome building space. And we are looking to actually have a second build in Barry to help us with all the demand in Central Vermont, because we were just doing Barry and Montpelier, and now we're looking at, there's a whole bunch of people in the surrounding towns that are saying, hey, where can we get ours? And so I would really love to partner with somebody in one of those surrounding towns to mentor them and set up a second build at the Barry Auditorium. So, that's one of the challenges of having a build, is finding a space. So I'll take that burden off you and mentor you in getting your build started. So that's something that I'd really like to have happen. So if anybody out there in Central Vermont wants to do this, please get in touch. It's just a great feeling to know that you're doing something that is so tangible. And I think I will leave it at that.
Thanks so much, Amy. I really appreciate it. I can attest, I did go to the Montpelier Build this year at the Barry Auditorium, and that's an amazing space. It's really roomy, can spread out, and I was made to feel really welcome. So thanks for Amy for all the work that you guys are doing there. Appreciate it. Next, I'd like to introduce Ginevra Wetmore. Ginevra is the Executive Director of Sustainable Woodstock, and she has been a local coordinator for the Woodstock Window Dressers Community Build. And I'd like to ask her to share a little bit about her experience with window dressers. Thanks, Ginevra.
Thanks, Allison. And yeah, I agree with everything Amy said. Very exciting that you're trying to expand in Central Vermont. So like Allison said, I'm the executive director at Sustainable Woodstock. And we're a nonprofit based in Woodstock and covering the surrounding towns and the area. I started with window dressers actually in my hometown of Stratford. I helped and kind of learned the ropes of how a build works there. And then the following year, I brought window dressers to the Woodstock area. So that was really exciting. And then we had our second build this past fall, covering Woodstock and basically all the towns that touch Woodstock. As a nonprofit with 2 full-time staff, we have we're very lucky to have like resources that other groups that are all volunteer-led do not. So we've been able to do our own independent fundraising to then supplement window dressers fundraising to offer all of our inserts for free to low and moderate income community members, which has been a really rewarding and fun part of the builds for me. We're already working with those families through our other programming, so it's just aligned really nicely to be able to offer all of the inserts for free. And it's, Amy kind of called it out, but it is such a great way to address a gap in terms of weatherization. There really aren't a lot of excellent options for really poor windows. And we have so many old homes in Vermont, and the folks, we have free weatherization through the state if you're low income. But windows are not included in that because it's really expensive to replace them. So window dressers provides this really incredible way to fill that niche where people really have been hurting. So we've done roughly 240 inserts last year and roughly 240 the year before. So we're hoping to do that amount or more this coming season. Yeah, it's been a really fun experience and a really good community event to bring people from all spheres of life to this one big build for a week. So we're happy to have been able to participate. We're happy to have served community members who really need assistance in terms of their homes and saving money and saving on fuel costs. For us, of course, it's also important with our mission. We are an environmentally focused organization and we're trying to reduce emissions, carbon emissions. So reducing fuel costs through inserts is like a wonderful added benefit to helping people and saving money. Yeah. So I don't know if I have anything else to comment. I think that's it, but I'm happy to answer questions if folks have any afterwards.
Thanks, Ginevra. And then last but not least, I want to introduce Jeff Gephardt. Jeff is the volunteer energy coordinator for the town of Rochester, and he leads the Valley Climate and Energy Action Committee. And in 2023, he stepped up to act as a co-coordinator for the White River Valley Window Dressers Community Build. Jeff, welcome.
Thank you. We worked this year with Gary Durr of Randolph. Gary had 1 year experience under his belt before this past year. He did a great job as our overall coordinator. We also worked, he's representing Randolph, and Gene Krause is a select board member and energy committee member in Bethel. Um, the Valley Energy and Climate Action Committee is 5 small towns in the Route 100 Valley. We were able to utilize the Bethel Town Hall for our build, which was a fantastic facility. Very high ceilings, a lot of wall space to lean product up against. Our group was able to build 245 inserts for 39 customers. Why we participated, one of the things, the biggest thing we do generally here in town is resource tables, trying to connect people with the services that are available and convince them that that's a good move for them. So, we do these resource tables at the food shelf distribution, at the farmer's market. We every once in a while go to the trash and recycling transfer station. And we do them, but we often don't know the outcome, what's actually happened. And with window dressers, we get to see that right away. And it really enlivens and encourages the volunteers. We also thought that window dressers template for this program was excellent and something that fit our group quite well. We like the idea of the service to the low income community. When we were working a resource table at the food distribution day in Hancock, one woman came up and she was so glad we were doing it. She was literally tears in her eyes because she was not going to have to sleep in her winter jacket anymore because of a cold window. I would say that window dressers local support is fantastic. Our group can't say enough good things about Allison. Another thing that we appreciated, and I agree with everything Amy and Ginevra said. One of the things that helps us and many is to volunteer with other build teams to learn all the tasks so that you can effectively convey them to your own. I guess I would and before that, the community building is indeed what happened. We met people, these faces you see around town, but really don't know the person. All of that kind of stuff is erased in the part of this program. The only thing I take issue with in what Amy said is how hard and how much work it was. I was so fortunate to have such a super effective window dresser team of coordinators. They just were self-starters. They knew what to do. They knew when to check in. But geez, every time they check in, they'd have the solution. They just want to know if it's okay to go ahead. So it's super important, the selection of the local outreach coordinator, the measuring coordinator, the volunteer coordinator, and the food coordinator. Those people make your life so easy when they're good. I gained 5 pounds. Thank you, food coordinator. But, let's see. The other thought is that we did things to make the community build fun. And I've heard of other places that have done similar things as well. We met together, we all ate together for lunch. The people working the morning shift, the people working the afternoon shift, we all had lunch together. And we had little prompts to help everybody get to know each other, and which stimulated far more detailed and fun conversations later on. I've heard of community builds where they've had music. I don't know that I would be the best DJ for that approach, but the other thing that we did at the end of the whole thing is that we had a celebratory party for the people that, for all of the coordinators and the people that put the most into it. So that's really my experience with it. We look forward to this coming year, and look forward to building more inserts than last time.
Thanks, Jeff. Yeah, one of the things I wanted to just emphasize with Jeff's situation. So the Randolph team existed last year or the year before last, and then this year, you know, we had Bethel and the Rochester, Hancock, Granville, I think Pittsfield area, Stockbridge area, all kind of come together. So I think when we're thinking about community, we want to make sure, especially in some of our smaller towns, that it's really difficult for maybe a small town to do a community build on its own, but it's really important to think about maybe community as a little bit of a larger area, which is exactly what the White River Valley community build did do. So that was I think that was a really for me a really good lesson learned, to really think about community is just larger than your own little community, but maybe your whole, a bigger area, to be able to get, you know, enough people, one, to volunteer and to make Jeff's life easy, like he said, and then also to be able to get, you know, enough customers to make a really successful community build. So thank you all for your help and for your comments. Really appreciate it. I just wanted to share here before I open it up to questions a couple of testimonials. So I just pulled a few that I had seen that I thought were interesting. I'm just going to read them to you. So from Patricia S. in Lindenville, this program is vital in this part of the country. People in rural areas don't typically have the resources nor the financial means to insulate their homes properly. Being able to come together and help each other is the basic philosophy of Vermonters. This program is a godsend. I'm looking forward to being a regular volunteer, and I thank everyone involved in this wonderful service. From Heidi M. in St. Johnsbury, this was a wonderful experience overall. I'm conserving energy, saving on heating fuel costs, and had fun meeting new people at the community build. It's a win-win-win. I thank the organizers heartily. I am in for next year's build. And then finally from Joanna K. in South Royalton, we could feel the difference in our drafty farmhouse instantly. Thank you. And then just really one kind of quick story. So when I was in Rockingham this year, Laurel G, who's part of the Rockingham Energy Committee, came up to me and told me a story about how the first year that their energy committee hosted a WindowDressers community build, a woman applied to get 10 free inserts because she was on state fuel assistance. She told me that each winter in about mid-February, she usually runs out of assistance and has to pay off the remaining fuel bill over many months. Laurel received an email from her last February in which she shared her gratitude for WindowDressers because she could tell that her fuel assistance was going to keep her warm through the whole winter. So just a few examples of, you know, people and how they've experienced WindowDressers and the impact that it's had on them. And then I just wanted to share a couple of pictures that I received from people. So a lot of community build towns have taken advantage of this and have put the inserts in community spaces. So the top picture here is a picture of some inserts that were installed at the Alice Ward Library in Canaan this past season. Those inserts were built in Glover. Jack Sumberg took on that. That was quite a distance for him to travel, but he took that on and built, their team built inserts for that library. Also the Bennington Public Library built several, I think there were probably, I want to say maybe 10 or 12 huge inserts that were built for the public library there in Bennington. So there's one of them being installed. Also the Norwich Historical Society had some windows inserts built for an older home that that the Historical Society has taken on. And then lastly, there was the Norwich Public Library also had some inserts that were built. So there are these are in people's homes, and they're also in many public spaces all over the state, which is exciting. So thank you all for joining today. And I will open it up to any questions, comments, or anything that anybody would like to share. Thank you. Dan, was there anything in the chat? I wasn't really paying attention.
Nope, nothing
Oh.
yet, but it looks like Bruce has a
Bruce
question.
Brauman has his hand raised if we want to, Bruce,
I
thanks for
was
joining.
busy with another volunteer thing, so I missed the first 15 minutes, but I'll catch the recording. I just
Awesome.
wanted to say that I've been involved, well, since before COVID, more or less. When I found that out about WindowDressers at a VECAN conference, actually. And so we've had builds like for at least 3 years in Wyndham that includes Wardsboro and Londonderry. I haven't really been able, I'm kind of alone here in Londonderry, so I haven't really made much progress in the last 3 years. It's just been a few, but we've got some new people got involved last year that are really enthusiastic, and we're, envisioning our outreach and expect really good results this year. We will either hold it in Wyndham again or possibly at a church here in Londonderry. I just had a question about when people recommend starting outreach, now when it's cold or wait till it's closer to the build.
Yeah, I mean, I think thanks for the question. I think a lot of teams, I know a lot of teams have use our town meeting day as a means to start their outreach. And I don't think it's ever too soon. I think it's really important to do outreach, when it's cold and when people are still, paying those high fuel bills. So I don't think it's too early to get started. I think we're going to be holding I don't have the date right off the top of my head, but we're going to be holding a workshop in April to cover, just to give people some, tips and some thoughts on how to do outreach. So yeah, I don't think it's ever too early. Jessica, I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
No, I think you've done a great job, Allison, covering everything. Yeah, and that off season, the outreach workshop is going to be on Tuesday, April 9th. But yeah, starting outreach as soon as you can while people are feeling the drafts from their windows and thinking about staying warm. We do say that doing outreach in the summer is challenging because people in Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont in the summer do not want to think about the winter. They're out enjoying the summer. So I'd say that would be the hardest time to start. Thanks, Allison.
We don't stop. We just keep rolling around.
Yeah, Jeff, did you have a question, or did you just want to make that comment?
Just wanted to make that comment. We'll be
Okay.
attending we're any place people gather.
Hey, Allison, do you want to
Henry,
stop
did you
the
have a
share?
question?
You want to stop the
Oh,
share
of
so
course,
everyone can
of
see each
course.
other a little better? Thank you.
Of course, yeah. Henry, you had a question. You have your hand raised.
Yeah, I don't have a question. I have a statement.
Okay.
I was involved in the Mad River build this year and got to see the process and the product. And I just want to emphasize the quality of the product. I mean, if it were, the many years of work that's gone into developing this product and refining it over time is obvious in the choice of the materials. The frames were all square, they weren't warped. The laser measuring meant it really fits the window. The foam on the perimeter means that you don't have the condensation problems in between the insert and the window, which could be major, really reduce condensation on my windows, as well as saving energy. And the film that's used is transparent, so I could still see my view. And it's a quad pane retrofit. It's not just a single pane retrofit, so it makes a huge difference. So I just want to emphasize what a good product it is, and the process that went along with it to make it good. And I just can't say enough good stuff about it.
Thank you so much, Henry. That was really kind. Appreciate that. Jessica, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, I'm really glad that you included some photos of inserts in public spaces. or libraries, historical societies. I think it's not something that we emphasize when we're doing our outreach necessarily, or in our outreach materials, but it's definitely something that we do talk about, that these are available to businesses, public spaces. And a great thing about having them in a place like a library is that people see them. The public can actually see what they look like. They can see them in action, and get a better sense of what they might look like in their own homes. So I'm glad that you highlighted that, Allison. And that's, it's just another way to just build awareness about the effectiveness of the product.
Thank you. Bruce, did you have another comment, question?
I did. I just wanted to amplify what Henry said about the quality, and I just really am always amazed at the process, all the different steps and the jigs and the thought that's gone into how to put these things together and the constant improvement. It's really easy to get new people up and running like within an hour or less. And they always do a good job. We always rarely have quality control issues in our builds. We had one year, but that was another story. Anyway, I just wanted to say, praise the process,
Awesome.
the building
Thank you.
process.
I don't see any other hands. Yeah. Oh, Sarah, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I just thought I'd mention something. I hesitated because Jessica just said the issue of the public spaces really isn't in your wasn't originally in your plans, I'd say. But I agree about the public spaces, and we did get 13 inserts in the Heartland Public Library. And to me, one of the best things is you can tell people, oh, go look at one. And also
Right.
they can get feedback from the librarians from whom we have gotten the same comments at some of the testimonials. On a slightly bigger scale, which I haven't managed yet, but I'm still hoping for, maybe not this year, but possibly next year, I would like to follow the lead set in Thetford by the Energy Group up there, where they did the entire elementary school. Now, I don't know how many windows it was. I worked at the build, but only for one shift. But it was an entire elementary school building, and I'm trying to work with the local elementary school to see if they would like us to set up a build to do that. And I'm not too hopeful for this year because, as we know, all the schools and school boards have very, very overfull plates right now. But maybe next year. But I think that's another thing. And then we're not so much trying to save people money as think about the benefit of reducing the greenhouse gas emissions from an entire school building or some other commercial building. So I just think as we move to the future, that's something to keep in mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. That's a really good point. Sam, did you have I see you have your hand up?
Yeah, I think Jessica, I wanted to give you a chance if you wanted to go off of that before I take it a different direction.
Yeah, I was just going to say that there was a school in Bristol. I was just going to try to pull up the name of it, that they did either the whole school or a large part of it, maybe 2 years ago. But yeah, schools are another great candidate for inserts. Thanks, Sarah, for your efforts there.
Yeah, that was Beeman Academy in New Haven. Yeah, but they were built in Bristol. Yeah, and those were huge inserts. And Beeman Academy, for any of you who know that, is a huge old building. And yeah, that was a huge undertaking.
And I think that, there's, in some cases, there are opportunities to include the inserts into science or environmental curriculum, just discussing energy efficiency
Mhm.
with the schools.
Great, thank you. Sam?
Thanks all. Hi, Sam Lashley here, Central Vermont Regional Planning Commission. Thanks all of you for your incredibly hard work. It is just like one of the coolest initiatives that I think we see on the ground regularly, and it's awesome to see it ramping up year to year and the awareness sort of building. I guess while we have a larger group of folks here, I just sort of wanted to pitch a few things for future brainstorms that maybe we could also work, in a broader sense together on. And that would be figuring out stable funding. So I know that a lot of people have tips and tricks using like the Vermont Council on Rural Development, innovation grants. There's a bunch of sort of community trust that people use sort of year to year in terms of funding. And, I've definitely been looking at other partnerships with some of our sort of business community funds, or even sort of some of our businesses in Central Vermont do, like they'll feature a group for a month, if you will, and profits will go to them, or for a night or things like that. But is there something that we might think about as a group, as a state, with all of us here together, that we might sort of procure more financial stability in terms of subsidizing those inserts for lowest income folks? I just want to put that idea out there. I see CVOEO on here. Hi. We definitely have chatted with Capstone, and just, while we have this big group together, is there sort of, are there other things that people are considering or have ideas or anything that pops to mind now that we just might want to take a few minutes to address? Because I think there's a strength here in having so many folks who do this. And, if this is something that really makes a difference for this heating season for folks, maybe we can band together and find a way to make sure that at least that part of the burden of getting community builds going is taken care of in a more sort of stable way. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Jeff? Thanks, Sam. Jeff, you're muted. You're muted.
On the public building side or facility side of the equation, that's a good opportunity there to have a small framed sign explaining what that window has. Just use it for continual marketing, even if somebody's just nonchalantly walking by, they'll know that that's available and could be done in their home.
So just to make sure I understand, are you saying that if a business or a institution or a building has a window dressers inserts in it, that they could have something, like you said, that they could have a little sign that indicates that they have them? Is that what you're saying? I just want to make sure I understood.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I would like to do the town office in Rochester, a ton of windows in that, and a sign in the meeting room space. People would be walking by and seeing every time they're there in the cold season.
Thank you for that idea. Great. If there aren't any other comments, any other questions, I really appreciate all the input and the conversation. It's been really good. I appreciate that. Dan, I guess I'm gonna hand it back to you. If not.
Thanks, Allison. Thanks to the whole WindowDressers team for 14 years of amazing work. I know it's really appreciated by so many of the communities in Vermont. And I want to thank you all for joining us as well. We'll be uploading the recording of this webinar to our YouTube page, and we'll share the link with all of you once it's up. Also, don't forget to join us on March 13th and March 15th for our next webinars. The links are in the chat. And I think, if you haven't already, you should reach out to Allison and WindowDressers and see if your community is able to start up the program as well. And really excited to see what happens this year with WindowDressers. Hope you all have a great day.
Thank you.